Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Vercel Community Live session. Today's session is all about AI code reviews. We're going to be joined by someone from CodeRabbit. But first, I want to just introduce myself. I'm Amy Egan. You've seen me around here probably if you've watched other live streams. I work on the Vercel community team. Just a reminder, we are streaming on X and YouTube. But if you want to join the main conversation, go to the community site for Vercel and find the event, click going. That'll be on community.vercel.com/events. We'll have time for questions and answers at the end, so feel free to drop questions into the chat as we go, and I'll make sure that we ask those at the end. And if you're going to hang out in the chat, just please remember to be respectful, be nice to each other, follow our code of conduct. With that out of the way, I would like to welcome Santosh to the stage.
Hey, Amy. Hey, everyone.
I know you have a lot to show, so I will get out of your way and let you get to it.
Thank you. So, okay. Hey, everyone. So I'm happy to be here. Amy, if possibly just add my screen share as well. Yeah, cool. So, happy to be here, and I hope you're having a great week so far and great day. So, a little bit about myself. So, I'm Santosh. I live in Hamburg, Germany, and I joined CodeRabbit, and I work as an open source developer advocate for CodeRabbit. And apart from that, I'm a Google developer expert for Angular. I'm a GitHub star, and just got confirmation that I'm GitHub star for another year. So I'll be there for one more year to hang out with all the cool people from GitHub. And I'm also a Microsoft MVP and part of another program called an Champion, where I mostly contribute around monorepo space. So in case you're interested in any of this, reach out to me on X or LinkedIn, or we just call it Twitter. It's easy. And also I'm on Blue Sky. So it's my handle is santoshyadav.dev, or you can just go to my website santoshyadav.dev and you can find everything about me. So here today, I'm going to walk you through like how CodeRabbit helps with code review bottleneck. And to prepare for this talk, I decided to actually go into a little bit of history, right? Because, when I was thinking about like what should I share, which should be very informative for others. So I thought like, why not to share something where like people, like how CI/CD evolved over the years or over the decades, I would say. And same for code review. And then I can show you like how CodeRabbit helps, right? So let's go ahead and get started, I'll say. And so just to give you a little bit of information about CodeRabbit, of course, there are so many companies who are using CodeRabbit, and it's open source. It's free for, it's not open source, but it's free for open source. So these are some companies which are listed here. We have like more than 500,000 users. We have reviewed more than 13 million pull requests. Yeah, it's a big number, believe me. And we have installs on more than 2 million repositories. And we are also one of the most installed app on GitHub and GitLab. So we recently crossed, I think, 150K installs on GitHub, which is very good, very big number, I would say. And in case you want to go ahead and give it a try, just go ahead and install CodeRabbit. I mean, I'll show you at the in video as well. So let's talk about CI/CD, right? I think most of us at one point of time used to maybe, I'm not talking about everybody, but maybe the people who started their career maybe in early 2010, in those days, there used to be different roles. There used to be a front-end developer, there used to be a back-end developer, there used to be a UI person as well, who used to mostly do CSS, and that was not a front-end focused role. Because when we used to talk about maybe front-end or back-end, I think a lot of people were still doing ASP.NET, ASP.NET MVC. Early 2009, I think that's where the era of front-end framework started, right? AngularJS came in 2009, and then 2011, React came in, and a lot of other frameworks followed. But now, whenever we talk about development, I don't think so we talk about front and back end. We still do that, but I think more and more people are also doing everything. Like they're also doing CI/CD, right? So people are writing GitHub actions. They're adding maybe more checks on CI/CD, or maybe making their internal CI/CD faster, right? So everyone does everything. So let's talk about a little bit one thing which I really love to talk about. When if you're focused on CI/CD, right? This is one thing which you always hear from your developers: faster builds and tests, right? But let's see how we reached here, right? So how the evolution of CI/CD happened. So in early 1990s, I don't want to go back before 1990s. I know there are so many developers who have been doing development since like forever. I know some of them personally, like who started doing writing code in 1980s, and I was like, wow. So in 1990s, right? Though, so how the CI/CD used to work. So generally, you will like do all the work, right? And then you try to merge all the feature monthly, or maybe like whatever schedule you have. So let's say at the end of the month, you collect all the code, and then you used to you merge all the features, and then schedule a nightly build like 2 a.m. And then everyone is sitting there waiting for their code to be like merged, deployed at 2 a.m. in the night. And if something goes wrong, then you have to like still be there and work, right? Then of course this evolved, and in 2000 something else came in. So Jenkins, SVN, a lot of other tool came into the picture. I think this is where Jenkins became really popular. So now you don't have to do anything, right? I mean, you don't have to like manually merge your changes. This is also where or you can say early era, where people started pushing their code on GitHub, GitLab, and SVN. If I'm not sure, like how many of you used SVN, but SVN used to be a good big thing, and people started like pushing all those things on CI server. Like Jenkins used to build your code. You don't have to stay awake at 2 a.m. in the night. You can just push your code and then make sure like okay, everything is built correctly, and Jenkins will let you know like if everything is worked or everything is merged. And then era of 2010 came, where like Docker or containers like became more popular, right? And CI/CD became more smart. So now we had like GitHub Actions, then GitLab has its own product. We got Jenkins. We got like 10 different products to play around, like to do your CI/CD pipe or set up your CI/CD pipeline. And with early 2020s, it increased more, right? So now you can bring your tools. For example, every company, if you see Microsoft, AWS, everyone has their product. Terraform is there, Kubernetes is there, and you can push everything into your CI/CD pipeline. So you can do like from pushing a code to deploying it to the production. You can do everything from your CI/CD pipeline. And now with the era of AI, I think CI/CD became more and more smart. This is what I will call smart, because now your CI/CD pipeline is not only building your product; they are also doing a lot of other things. For example, one really use case I liked is self-healing build. In case something goes wrong when you push the code, some build fails, now your CI/CD can fix the build in the process and then re-trigger the build. For example, one product I know, NX, who also has something like self-healing CI, where they can fix the test and redeploy it again, right? So just think about your end-to-end test which you wrote using Playwright. It fails, and then your pipeline figures it out, okay, what's wrong, and then just adds a fix and then redeploys it. And now you can also let's move on to the code review part, right? So this is how CI/CD has become more and more user friendly, I would say, for developers. You don't have to wake up at 2 a.m. to see like what's wrong. But now with AI, we got another issues, right? Now people are actually writing codes, right? And then of course you have automated test, which is running in the CI. Then you have a pull request. You still do manual reviews, and then finally your code is shipped. And as everyone knows, like with the introduction of AI, I think generating code become much easier. It became cheap, I would say. And then it means your engineers have to work a lot to do the code review. So let's see how the code review evaluation happened. Evolution, right? I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, but let's see how it happened. 1990s. So in 1990s, there was a process called Fagan inspection, which was actually named after Michael Fagan, who actually introduced this concept. So in this process, what used to happen is they will define entry and exit criteria. So for example, okay, if there is a function which has two numbers, of course, what can be entry? The two numbers will be passed, and exit criteria is, let's say, you get a successful output, right? And those numbers are added. And then there will be a moderator who will actually responsible for verifying the work and rework both. So if you see the diagram below, it says planning, overview, preparation, then meeting and rework, and then follow. If you think about it, this is how actually your development happens, right? And if you even think about code review, this is how it used to happen. It used to happen for a long time, and still happens in a lot of organizations, I would say. So the moderator will actually moderate this session where everyone comes together. So this is not, I'm not talking about virtual or anything, right? In 1990s, people used to actually come together, have their code on paper. So everyone has a copy of the code on paper, and then they will discuss among themselves. People will actually mark their comments on the paper, and some might be there might be cases that someone already prepared like their list of comments before coming to this meeting, and they will discuss about it. They will agree that if this code is good to go or not. If there is any problem, it goes to again from rework to planning, and then all the entire process is being done again. So people will meet again, another meeting, and I'm sure like as a developer you love meeting a lot, right? Just kidding. I know everyone, not many people are the fan of meeting just to do code reviews and then follow up, right? And then 2000s came, emails came, era of open source started. Now people started doing it asynchronously, no in-person meeting. In early 2000, if you're not aware like how your code reviews to happen, this is where I really love post from Daniel Steinberg, the creator of Curl. He keeps sharing the mails where he shows like how he used to receive the patches over the email. Yes. So in early 2000s, actually the way open source used to happen is people used to send the patches over email, and then they used to use diff tools or Unix terminal to show like what has changed, and then reviewer will actually reply saying, oh, this line, this can maybe cause a memory leak, or this line can be much better like rewritten in this mail this way. And there used to be entire mail thread. This is how it used to happen in like early era of open source. And there are still so many projects where you can actually maybe if you Google for it, you will still find a lot of mail threads where people used to share their PRs, or you can just call it like code for review. Then 2010 came, and this is the era of pull request. This is where the modern code review thing was born, because this was more asynchronous, more collaborative. It was more web-based, so GitHub, GitLab, right? And but there is still a problem, right? Of course, everything is there, and people still need to wait until the code is approved, right? So you still need to wait for someone. You have to say, okay, my senior engineer is actually looking at the code, and same was applicable for your CI/CD pipeline. You have to wait until your CI/CD pipeline says green, right? Apart from just waiting for code, you also have to wait for your CI/CD pipeline. I'm sure like if you were a developer in early 2010s, of course, this thing existed where you can review the code, but still there used to be a lot of conflicts, you know, because conflicts is something which you cannot avoid. I mean, there will be two people talking about the code and maybe having some discussions that this thing should be done in this way and this thing should not be done in this way. Some people are very like to do nitpicks, right? So they will do nitpicks and then force you to do this. And then finally, people used to give up and probably just meet in person and discuss like what's going on. So this is how it started. And now in 2020, of course, we know like the CI/CD thing was picking up. So code review became asynchronous, but also global and more efficient. For example, you can put more checks on your CI/CD pipeline, for example, linting and maybe builds, status checks, pre-commit hooks were there, like, and then you can also have, like, you don't have to run your entire CI/CD pipeline. You can fail your builds in case one of the steps goes wrong. Also saves time, also saves money, right? And so we saw some improvements on in the productivity, right? Because the checks were automated. But are we still getting the automated feedback on code review? Early 2000, no, right? And it was still like where people have to say, okay, hey, I'm waiting because I have 3 PRs which is still open, and I don't want to uh, open more PRs because there will be a lot of works when I have to merge everything, right? And why you're waiting? Because of course your senior engineer is still busy doing maybe PR preview for others, or the person, your senior engineer, is actually busy with something else, right? I mean, there are so many things to do in our, and then you keep asking this to your team every other week. Can you please do the code review on my PR? And I'm sure this was way common than I'm thinking about, because I have been there as well. So I used to wait for a week and say, hey, can you please review my PR? And people used to like, yeah, I will do that because I'm busy. And this is the whole thing which was happening till early 2020s. Then now from 2024, I would say the era of AI. Now this is like asynchronous and future of code review. Now you don't have to wait for your senior engineers to review your code. You can get instant feedback. Maybe if you're using GitHub, you can get, as soon as you raise a PR, you get a feedback from code review tool like CodeRabbit. You can also use our IDE extension. So CodeRabbit has an IDE extension which you can use to review your code. Then we also have a CLI where you can also review your code. And on top of it, we recently launched our Cloud Code plugin. Yes, if you're using Cloud Code, you can also use our Cloud Code plugin to review your code while you're writing it. So you create, maybe you ask for some implementation, give it back to CodeRabbit by using our plugin, and then CodeRabbit reviews your code before you even push it on production. So now the feedback loop became faster. Do we still need code review from senior engineers in your team? Yes, you do, but you don't have to wait. The 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 advantage is you don't have to wait to get some feedback to continue working on your features. Now you have instant feedback to work on. So if I talk about the evolution, this is how it looks like. For 1990s, people used to work paper, uh, take the pain, write it down, like what can happen, what can go wrong. Then 2000, people started patching, sending the emails as patches. 2010, pull request era came in. People started discussing it on your laptop, on web. 2020, a lot of things moved away. The things which probably you can avoid is now part of CI/CD. For example, nitpicks. Linters are very good for that, right? It can avoid a lot of nitpicks. And now you don't even have to wait for your senior engineering team to kick off the review. You can just like ask CodeRabbit to review when you are writing code as soon as you raise a PR, and then you can just be more productive. And now in era of AI, code is becoming cheaper. As I said, like it's writing a new code is not a problem. You can just ask your GitHub Copilot, Cloud Code, or any other AI tool to write code for you. But who is going to review it? And this is where CodeRabbit also becomes more and more relevant for today's workflow. Now you can just ask CodeRabbit to review your code as soon as you write. And even for larger PRs, if you have maybe if you're working on a big feature, you know, earlier we used to say, okay, just try to keep your PR smaller, but there used to be scenarios where you cannot keep your PR smaller. What you can do in such cases is you can ask CodeRabbit to review your code using your CLI, using your ID extension or Cloud Code to do the review before you push it onto maybe GitHub or GitLab or open a PR or MR. So you have already done a lot of work or heavy lifting for others, so they don't have to do a lot of work again. With CodeRabbit, like what how it can help. Of course, you will be able to merge your PR faster. We have seen like 4x reduction in merge time. Now this is where the real improvement comes in, right? Before, when I was talking about 2020, of course, CI/CD was improving. And now you can bring a lot of tools inside the CI/CD workflow, but you still had to wait for the code review process. Now you don't have to, and it improves your time to merge your PR or reduces your time to merge your PR. Now you can actually ship more, like 50% of the dev are actually freed up, or 50% of the developers' time is freed up because they don't have to wait for another developer to review their PR, and they can just ship more features and improve the code quality. Of course, one thing CodeRabbit does really well is catch the features, right? And catch them early and catch them all, right? It's not Pokemon, but yes, we like to catch the bugs, right, as a developer. So I'll show you a small architecture diagram of CodeRabbit, like how it looks like. So you can use anything, right? As I said, we can work with GitLab, GitHub, and then there are people who are using with Azure DevOps as well. It can work like with CLI, with extension. So generally, we don't take your code, right? It's like it's a sandbox. No one can interact when we review your code. It's a sandbox environment where you clone your repo. We like do some analysis. We run all the linters. There are so many linter integration we have available inside CodeRabbit, and then we send it to the LLM providers where we do a lot of checks, and then finally we post all the comments wherever you are, right? If you're using a Git platform, if you're inside an extension, if you're using a CLI, so we send all this feedback. And we also have some integration with MCPs. So in case you want to use Linear, Notion, or GitHub MCP, any MCP, right, you can just go ahead and use them. And CodeRabbit also has something known as knowledge base. So you can also teach CodeRabbit. For example, a common example as an Angular developer I can give you is, there are still a lot of AI tools which generates star ng for, which is an old syntax for writing for loop in Angular. But now you don't need to. Like, of course, the syntax has improved, and in Angular you don't need to do star ng for anymore. So you can just say @for, and that's it. You can actually add it as a learning in case your AI tool is actually keeps throwing the same syntax again and again, and say, okay, just go ahead and use an @ng4, and next time if someone opens a PR with star ng4, CodeRabbit can catch that and say, okay, you're not allowed to do it here. I mean, just go ahead and use @for or @if syntax. So I'll just quickly give you a demo. I still have a few minutes left, so I'll not take much of your time. For example, this is a PR which is open, and now code review is doing a code review. So one thing which I really love about CodeRabbit code review is the sequence diagram, where you can see how the code is implemented. If you find something wrong here, you can go ahead and give the feedback. You even don't need to give a feedback, right? If you are a developer and you know like what should be implemented and how the sequence diagram should be, you can just look at this diagram, beautiful diagram, and say, okay, this is a problem. I mean, this should not happen. For example, a simple example which I can give you is, let's say you implemented dark mode, light mode, and you figure out that, okay, when I click on this button, the dark mode should be enabled, but that's not happening because sequence diagram says something else. Yes, that's your clue. You have to go back and fix your code. But apart from that, of course, CodeRabbit can give you issues like in your code base. So it can tell you, okay, this is a very minor indentation inconsistency, because this is a Python code, right? And it does matter. And similarly here, fix heading level to match document structure. These are some small nitpicks. But what about big features? So what I was doing is, I have my own blog, santoshyadav.dev, and there is one feature which was missing here. So When I go to blogs, I don't have a search feature. So I thought, like, why not to ask GitHub Copilot to do it for me. So I asked GitHub Copilot, which gave me a nice PR, but someone needs to review it, right? And then I gave it to CodeRabbit and said, hey, CodeRabbit, just do the review for me. And it started giving me all these responses. Right now it says, okay, this is a potential issue. It says missing response status check before passing JSON. So what I'm doing is, when I'm calling the API to fetch the search data, there is no status check. So in case something goes wrong, yeah, the users will be confused, like what happened. And this also says, okay, this is XSS vulnerability. Now, this is the real issue, which I cannot capture if I'm just doing a vibe coding. And it's not like I don't want to care about it, right? I still don't want someone to hack through my website, even though it's like my personal blog. So I have to be really careful. And this is what CodeRabbit can do for you. I mean, it can catch the potential issues which can cause a lot of headache in future for you. So this is another example. And recently, during one of the research done by some of my friends on open design, there are people who are actually using CodeRabbit to identify the potential vulnerabilities as well. And this was a really good use case, because most of the time I will probably not care about this. And maybe because I'm just vibe coding, and maybe because I'm the only developer who's working on this, no one is going to maintain my portfolio for me. And CodeRabbit can uh, potentially capture this error, and then it gives you a prompt for agent. So what I can do is, I can copy this prompt, give it back to Copilot, and say, hey, Copilot, fix it for me. I mean, I don't have to, because this is a prompt, entire prompt, which explains the issue, which explains the fix, and then everything is done. And I can push another fix, and CodeRabbit checks another round of checks, and then all good. I can go ahead and merge this PR. So so this is it from my demo. But before I wrap up, I just want to say one more thing. Yeah. So I just wanted, I got this image today on Twitter, and I really liked it. So there is one feature in CodeRabbit which gives you a poem, and I really like this. In God we trust, all others must go through a code review. So of course we trust in God, but everything should go through a code review, and this explains code review or CodeRabbit in pretty much in one sentence. So that's it from my side. In case there are questions, I'm happy to answer those questions. And yeah.
That was awesome. We had some comments, and I totally agree. It is amazing to see how far we've come in code review. I'll read word for word in the comments. I've never thought about what reviewing code was like pre-GitHub. Very interesting. So I completely agree. It's amazing to think how far we have come. And now we have AI doing it for you.
True. I mean, just think about like 10 people sitting in a room, and then with pens, paper.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, so much
That
time
would be fun.
spent.
Yeah.
So I have one question.
Yep.
So at Vercel, we have a huge range of customers. We have, individual hobby, personal site. We have early stage startups growing all the way up to big enterprise teams. Which kinds of Vercel customers are you focusing on with this integration? And is there anyone that it might not be the perfect fit for just yet?
Oh, this is a good question, because I don't think so. Code review is something which doesn't fit anywhere. Like, I mean, it does not fit. Like, if there is a use case where it does not fit,
Yeah, everyone needs it.
Everyone needs it.
Yeah.
For example, I was just showing it on my personal portfolio, right? Just think about it. I mean, if I was just doing a vibe coding, I will never catch that bug. That there is an XSS attack which might happen.
Yeah.
And so everyone needs it, and now people need it more, because with introduction of vibe coding, generating code is cheap, and anyone can just write code. I mean, people who have no idea about programming, they are also trying to code, and we saw some example last year. Oh, my database got deleted because I was just doing vibe code.
Yeah.
So
we need reviews to catch that.
Exactly, we need reviews to catch that. And for enterprises, it becomes more critical, because I have seen a lot of enterprises adopting code review tools, not AI coding tool,
Mhm.
and now there are developers who are using those AI code or AI tool to generate more code. Right? They want to ship faster. Of course, that's what is expected from everyone once
Mhm.
enterprises invest in it, and someone has to review code. If you're going to generate 200 PRs in a day, I'm sure like you will not have any senior engineers in team who will just do the code review and comes alive next day. So someone has to do the heavy lifting, and I
Yeah.
think CodeRabbit is the perfect use case for them, as well as open source. Because this is one thing which I love. I care a lot about open source projects as well. So that's why CodeRabbit is actually free for open source. It's we have like free thing, like a free thing, like which is available for 14 days, and then you can continue using free uh, it for free. But there is a special, I would say, a special limit for open source, which is almost like what we offer for pro,
Okay.
only for open source. So if you are an open source project, go ahead and give it a try. Of course, now a lot of open source projects are complaining about AI slop, and this is where CodeRabbit can also help you. Even CodeRabbit can capture potential spammy PRs as well, because every year Hacktoberfest happens, hundreds of PR are just open to add a name in the
Yeah.
readme.md, and this is something CodeRabbit can also capture. And you can just add it in your CI/CD pipeline or as a pre-commit hook, and you don't have to potentially even to look at those PRs. I mean, they will just fail, and then yeah, but goodbye to spams as well.
That's an amazing help for open source maintainers. That it's such a huge job to sift through all of the PRs, whether they're AI slop or just low effort, and then the real good ones that are like, oh wow, this is a big change. What are they doing? How is it working?
Mm.
So very big help. Another question that I have, kind of related to unique scenarios and different focuses, different team sizes.
Mhm.
I know we usually go in demos on a fairly basic use case, but do you have a favorite power user workflow that you've seen, or anyone like pushing the limits of what you thought CodeRabbit would be used for?
That would be interesting to see. Like I mean, I'm sure some of the team members knows,
Yeah,
but I think the most powerful use case now can be using it with Cloud Code. So we just launched
yeah.
that plugin yesterday. So if you are like heavy Cloud Code user, just go ahead and give it a try. I mean, that would be fun. Like, I mean, you're writing code and then getting it reviewed inside Cloud Code, and by the time you raise a PR, you already have captured most of the bugs.
That is amazing because you can get ahead of the PR before you've even done it. Really
Yeah.
perfect timing. um, how do you reduce noise? Because I know there's a lot of summarization,
Mhm.
but if we get too much info, we've either summarized it too much or we're dumping too much and people aren't necessarily reading all of it. Do you have any recommendations about scoping PR size or maybe structuring it to help AI stay high signal with the feedback?
That's a very good question. Of course, like try to keep your PR smaller. I mean, as because if you give or throw like a lot of unrelated code in a single PR, I think that's going to cause an issue for any AI tool. And if even if you try to do it, like maybe check your dashboard, right? Because there are a lot of data or a lot of things which you can configure from dashboard. So for example, there is a review tab where you can say, for example, if you're expecting, let's say, maybe you don't need much of high level summaries, you can actually disable it from here. You can, because at the end of the day, you also get your flow chart, the sequence diagram which I was showing, and there is a poem section. So if you want to like reduce a lot of noise, I think there are a few things which you can do. Of course, check out your configuration and see like you enable only things which you need on for your use case. keep adding learnings. I think this is very powerful feature of CodeRabbit. So in case you see something which is going wrong and which is not being done properly by CodeRabbit, you can also ask CodeRabbit to change it. So and this is something which you can do it from the CLI itself. You don't have to come to the dashboard. You can say CodeRabbit learnings, and then you can add whatever comments you have, and it will be added as a learning, and you can change it, you can revise it. So I think it will take some time to find the perfect fit for you, but this is where I said, like, CodeRabbit can totally learn from you and become you, right? And do the code rabbit as you want to by using learnings. So powerful feature, just go ahead and use it. And if you want to disable something which you don't want to see on your PR, go to dashboard configuration and see like what you need and what you don't need.
I like that. I like how customizable it is, because you can just drop in different components and turn off different components. I didn't know how well it could learn from like your team's way of working. That's good to know as well, that you can kind of customize it to not just turn features on and off, but tell it exactly how you're using it so it can get better for your team specifically. That's awesome. All right, I want to be very sensitive to your time. I appreciate you taking as much time as you have, so I will ask just one more question. And that is, what is one thing that you would like the Vercel community to try after this session? Whether it's like maybe a specific testing pattern or workflow with this marketplace integration, and how can they share feedback with you and the team?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. So of course, go ahead and so we just launched our cloud code integration, right? And if you're trying cloud code or you already use cloud code, go ahead and give it a try. If you are an open source project, just enable it on your open source projects and see how it works for you. And to give feedback, you can join our Discord community. And if you find like hard to reach to anybody on Discord, which shouldn't be, because I'm always monitoring and my team is always monitoring Discord. So you should be able to like hear back from us on the Discord community as well. So you can just join CodeRabbit Discord. I think it should be available in where is that? Find your answers, right? So I think, yeah, join Discord. So you can just go to contact us and see there is a join community section. Join our Discord, and we are very active there. We also have our office hours, so you can also join office hours. And feedbacks are welcome anywhere. If you think, okay, I don't want to jump on Discord to share the feedback, I'm always listening on. You can always contact me on LinkedIn, Twitter, or maybe Blue Sky if you are available there.
Perfect. All right, I will make sure that all the links to your socials are on the event page so people can find it very easily, but it's also easy to search. You're one of the top people that comes up when we search your name, so easy to find. It's also streaming out there right now. So thank you so much for taking the time. I will let you go and get back to your day. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Emily. And thank you everyone for joining and like for those interesting questions. So I'll see you later.
Bye. Thank you all for joining us. This was a great session. I learned so much. I hope you did too. And you can join us later this week for another community session. And you can always find the upcoming sessions on the community calendar at community.vercel.com/events. See you next time.